Hello everyone. It's Saturday morning and I'm going to be doing some work on the layout today. I just wanted to kind of open the video with a list of things that I'm going to try to accomplish either today or before the weekend is out. So I'm sitting outside the layout right at the end where the bridge is, and I just want to talk through a couple of things with you. There'll probably be several segments within the video. So starting and stopping can be expected. A couple of things that I found out, both tracks now are operational. The what I'll call the the outside main is working fine. There's no spots in the track that need to be dealt with. You know, the cars and engines, locomotives run fine on the outside main. I do have a couple of spots on the inside main that I'm going to try and deal with today. One of which is actually on the yard, way up at the other end of the table. I'm going to try and zoom in there, and I'll take us in there when I begin work on it. But right where you see that bottle of glue, there was a turnout that came off of that curve and then into what was the intermodal yard. You can see three of the tracks for the intermodal yard in there. So those of you who have been with me remember that I had to dismantle this layout and bring it with me to the new house and put it back together. And it didn't go back together, you know, exactly perfectly as it was at the other house. And that's one of the areas that I am having difficulty with now. Just beyond the far end of the yard tracks where the turnout entered into the yard, I had to separate the tables. So they look like they're perfectly back together, but apparently not. So what I'm going to do is take the turnout out from where it was and move it further this direction, so it's on actually the straight section there. If you see the track where the blue wood chip hopper is down at the far end, the turnout is going to be on that straight section right before the curve. So I'm gonna lose some length on the yard tracks here, but now that I have the 4x8 table, I'm not too concerned about losing length in the yard. That was going to be intermodal. So I think what I'll do is extend it the whole way down into the peninsula here, and so I'll have plenty of length. And I may somehow try and figure out how to get a pull-through yard in there. About the only way to do it is to put another turnout where that brown wood chip hopper is and connect the yard lead there. So I don't know. That's something that can be done later on. Originally, when the layout was designed, it had a scenery block down the middle here, from the peninsula, this end of the peninsula, the whole way down to where that wall socket is. So I think I've decided to not do the scenery block, only because when you're inside the layout, in order to see operations that are going on one side or the other, you'd have to walk around the peninsula. So if I do put anything in there at all, it's going to be fairly low. You know, maybe just separate it with some buildings or factories or something. I haven't gotten that far yet. That's a long way down the road. The buildings you see here at the end of the table are some ones that one of my grandsons had gotten out just to place on the layout. He's helped me put together a few things, so he's kind of getting into the hobby now. He's my second oldest and my third oldest. The two of them, who are 9 and 7, are enjoying operating the layout as it is at the moment. I do have a couple of old cell phones that I'm using a wireless throttle, and they love that because they can walk around and follow their train. So anyway, I'm going to stop this segment for now, kind of jump into the middle and do some updates, and then I'll come back with the next segment. One thing I did decide to do on the bridge is, if you remember in the other layout, it was a truss, oh, I don't know what you call it. It had stuff up here that it's escaping me at the moment. But you know, it was fairly well damaged, and I was going to have to disassemble the whole thing and put it back together. And I did have some trouble with that, you know, accidentally running into it and backing into it and stuff when it was in the first position on the first layout 2 houses ago. So what I decided to do is just take that superstructure off and put some plate girder side beams on here. I don't know if you can see those well, but what those are, I had 2 9-inch Atlas plate girder bridges that I wasn't going to use. So I basically cut the sides off of those on the table saw and just glued them to the side of the bridge here. So I don't know what I'm going to do on the back side here yet. Whether I'll just, you know, find some more of these to put on the back side, or if I'm going to have some kind of a, you know, a backdrop across there one day. So I don't know what I'm going to do there. These 2x4 sections here that are holding the bridge in place, I'm going to cover those with some stone sheets that I had used before. And I've got some stone and some brick, so I'm going to kind of see what looks the best. Probably use the stone to cover those. So anyway, that's the bridge section, and we'll move on to some of the other things that I finished before. That's going to go onto the new 4x8 section. So it's in, and I had to replace these 2 curved sections of track. Again, as a result of having to put the layout back together, they didn't match up well over here. So I've replaced those with new track. Coming down the side here, this track that you see on the right is eventually going to be a passenger station line. So it's a pull through right where the table juts out there. I have plans to put a passenger station with a parking lot on the back side. So here's where the turnout was. You can see here I had to replace some cork where I pulled a section of track, and the turnout was right here. And this is the connection for the 2 tables. This is where the peninsula attaches to this cross piece. And you know, it just didn't go back together well. So the turnout used to come off here and then shoot into the yard this way. So I've removed that. I'm just going to put, you know, continuous section of flex track in. And then probably here, since there's already a joint, is where I'll put the turnout, and take out this section of track and begin the turnout here. Obviously, I'm going to lose, you know, some yard track here. So I'm going to have to reconfigure that. Not sure how it's going to turn out yet, but currently that's the plan. All right, so here's the section with the batteries on it. I found out that these no longer working 40-volt batteries make pretty good hold down weights when you're gluing track. Plus my other cordless drill driver battery. It does work, but it's just holding right now. So this is where that turnout was in the corner here, which fed these yard tracks. So I've taken that out, and I thought about putting in somewhere in this section another turnout, but I'm just going to let that area be for now, because I'm not sure what I want to do with it. Whether I still want it to be an intermodal yard or what. So I'm not worried about it right now. I just want to get both main lines up and running. So I had another crossover, turnout located in here. I don't know, well, I'm sure you don't remember, but there was a turnout right here at the back of this turnout, and it fed another turnout here, which this one was facing the other direction. So essentially I had 2 access points to this blank area of the layout here. I had one here, and I had one here. So, all right. I've confused myself. All right, let me start that over again. Down here at this end of this area, I had these 2 turnouts, which what we're looking at right here is actually the yard lead, which goes the whole way around and then comes up into this side of the table. So really long lead there. I had this set of turnouts here. And then back here, where the paint cans are, this turnout was flipped the other direction, and there was another crossover from the outside main to the yard here as well. So I decided to take that out because there's not really, you know, within a 5-foot distance, not really a need for two entrances into the yard lead. So I took one turnout out, flipped the other one around, and now what I have are two potential spurs that come into this area of the this end of the peninsula. So there's one here, and then this one here, which has always been here. So I think, you know, I gained a turnout by doing that. I don't really need all those turnouts coming into the yard lead. So that's what we have now. So it gives me the possibility of you know, a spur coming in here, another spur coming in right there. And, you know, I have no idea what's gonna go back here, but, you know, we'll figure that out. So the other thing that I've discovered is that I have a bunch of left-hand turnouts here, like a ton of left-hand turnouts. And two right-hand turnouts. The problem with that is that way down there at the other end, where my yard was gonna be, I need right-hand turnouts on there, just because of where the bridge goes across in front of the window. From that point, the ladder is gonna go to the left, and in order to create that, I need a bunch of right-hand turnouts. So, oh boy, it's been a long day. Here are a few of them, which I just saw. So I've got, I don't know, half a dozen there, so that's good. That'll at least get me started. What else? Let's see, I guess that's about all I've done for today. I thought I had another short in one of these turnouts, but luckily it was just a piece of rail that had that I had cut off that was sitting across there and had shorted out those two, had shorted out the rail. So I'm good, no shorts, the turnouts are good, and I think that should be about it for at least this section of comment. I'm not sure what else I'm gonna start on today. I've got to let that dry before I can run any trains through there, obviously. I've got track over here in the yard that I need to put in, so maybe I'll start on it next.